ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः परदेवतायै नमः ॐ श्रीरामचन्द्राय नमः सद्गुरु साईश्वरायै नमः ॐ साईराम ॐ असहाय सहायाय नमः. Now let us hear the chapters of Sri Sai Satcharita written by Hemat Pant based on Sri Sai Satcharitam written in Malayalam by N. Somashekaran, translated by Sulini V. Nair. Chapter 12. All is suffused with Sai. O Bhagavan, Sainath, I have taken refuge at your feet. Be pleased to protect me. Even a dullard can transcend Maya with your grace. God incarnates to protect the virtuous and punish the wicked, but great sages are not born for that purpose. To them, both the virtuous and wicked are alike. Their hearts are an ocean of compassion, and they slowly guide the wicked to the right path through the power of their pure and innocent love. They do not abandon anyone. Just as Agastya Maharishi once drank up the entire ocean, such personages drink up the ocean of transmigration. They are like the effulgent sun in whose presence darkness simply cannot be. This is because God Himself is within them. They are not separate from God. They are God. Our Sai is one such divine sage. He incarnated on earth solely for the welfare of his devotees. He had such incomparable compassion for all beings. At the same time, he was supremely unattached. Sai's darshan is attained only through merit from past births. Merely desiring it will not bring it about. Sai too must will it. Baba will not think of us or call us until the ordained time for our darshan arrives. We will not even be able to listen to his stories until he wills it. Many set out for Shirdi desiring Baba's darshan, yet not all received it. Even if they managed to see Baba, they could stay in Shirdi only if Sai permitted. And if Sai instructed someone to leave, they just had to. Everything depended on Baba's will. Once Kaka Mahajani came to Shirdi from Mumbai. He had planned to return after a week following Gokulashtami celebrations in Baba's presence. But as soon as Baba saw him during darshan, he asked him, "When will you return home?" Kaka Mahajani was stunned. "Whenever you tell me to," he replied sadly. "In that case, return tomorrow," said Baba. Though he felt very sad, he respected Baba's words and returned the very next day itself. He went to work as usual, only to find there awaiting him a letter from his supervisor asking him to report for work immediately. The supervisor had sent a letter to Shirdi too, but Baba had known of it much before the letter reached there and had done the needful. The letter that eventually reached Shirdi was returned not finding the addressee there. When we surrender to Sai, he looks after our welfare completely. Bahu Sahib Dhumal was among Baba's dear devotees. Once he was going to Niphad for a case. On the way, he came to Shirdi for Sai's darshan. As he prepared to proceed to Niphad, Baba forbade him from doing so. Not only that, he retained Dhumal at Shirdi for a week, quoting various reasons. Meanwhile, at the court in Niphad, the case was adjourned by a week as the magistrate fell ill with severe stomachache. Later, Baba allowed Dhumal to proceed with his plans. The case went on for a few months. In that period, the magistrates changed 4 times. Ultimately, he won the case and his client was acquitted. Nana Sahib Nimondkar and his wife were Baba's staunch devotees. Nana Sahib was an honorary magistrate of Niman and a landowner, very highly placed in society. Once they came to Shirdi, desiring to stay in Baba's divine presence for several days. They spent joyous days at Shirdi. Nimondkar spent all his time in Baba's presence, but after a while they received news that their son was unwell, anxious and wanting to look after her son and be with him for a few days. Mrs. Nimondkar started preparing to return, but her husband told her to return to Shirdi the very next day. She was in a fix, but could not bring herself to oppose her husband. As she took leave of Baba, she touched her forehead to Baba's feet. Leave soon. Go and stay there for 3 or 4 days and then return, said Baba. Thus Nimondkar's instruction was overruled by Baba's decree. Baba, the indweller of all, knows what is best for each devotee. What we must do is obey his words faithfully. Once, Mule Shastri of Nasik, who was well versed in the Shastras as well as in astrology and palmistry, arrived at Shirdi. His aim was to meet Babu Sahib Bhuti, the famous millionaire of Nagpur. After the meeting, he went to see Baba at the masjid. Baba gave devotees bananas, guavas and mangoes as prasad. Baba would press the mangoes on all sides before giving them to devotees, so they got all the pulp at a single suck. He peeled bananas and gave the fruit to devotees and sometimes ate the skin himself. Mule Shastri observed Baba from top to toe. He was excited to see the divine signs on his feet. He also desired to examine Baba's palm and requested Baba, but Baba ignored it. After a while, Shastri understood that it was a pointless exercise. Afterwards, Shastri returned to the Vada and got ready to perform his daily Agnihotra ritual. At this time, Baba prepared to go to Lendi as usual. He said, "Take some geru, we shall wear saffron today." Nobody understood what Baba meant. Baba returned in time for the midday Aarati. Babu Sahib Jog asked Mule Shastri if he would accompany him to the Aarati. He replied that he would see Baba in the afternoon. Baba sat on his seat and devotees worshipped him. The preparations for the Aarati were over. Suddenly Baba said, "Go, get some dakshina from the new Brahmin, Mule Shastri." Bhuti immediately went to Shastri but found him engaged in sadhana. When Bhuti told him of Baba's instruction, Shastri felt sorely confused. He thought, "I am a pure Agnihotri Brahmin. Why should I give dakshina? Baba may be a great saint, but I am not his dependent." But he could not refuse, for it was a great saint like Baba who was asking, and a millionaire like Bhuti who had come for it. Finally, he got up, leaving his sadhana unfinished, to go to the masjid and offer the dakshina. He felt trouble, thinking about how he would enter the masjid, being a pure, noble Brahmin, and yet how could he disrespect a great saint? So he stood at a distance and offered flowers to Baba. When he looked at Baba, he was shocked, for it was not Baba he saw there, but his own late Guru, Golab Swami. Shastri was stunned. "Is this a dream? Am I losing my mind?" he thought. He pinched himself and looked again. No, what he was seeing was true. With that, everything changed. Who can stand their ground against a flood of divine grace? Shastri ran to the masjid and fell at his Guru's feet. Then stood there with palms joined in prayer, his heart overflowing with love. Everyone was wonderstruck. While the other devotees sang the Aarati, Shastri loudly chanted his Guru's name. Leaving aside all pride of caste and sacredness, he fell at his Guru's feet. On getting up, he saw Baba asking for dakshina. It was then that the others realized what Baba meant when he said he would wear ochre. Golab Swami always wore ochre clothes. Listen to yet another wondrous leela. Once a Mamlatdar revenue officer came for Baba's darshan with a doctor friend. The doctor was a pious Brahmin and a devotee of Sri Rama. Before starting for Shirdi, the doctor told his friend not to force him to bow before Baba, a Muslim. The Mamlatdar replied that Baba never insisted that anyone bow before him or offer prostrations. They came to Shirdi and went to the masjid for Baba's darshan. The moment he saw Baba, the doctor was overcome with devotion and rushed forward and prostrated at Baba's feet. Seeing this, the Mamlatdar was wonderstruck. Afterwards, he softly asked the doctor why he did so. The doctor had goosebumps when he told his friend of his experience. I did not see Sai at the masjid. I saw the dark-hued Sri Ramachandra Mahaprabhu. When I saw his divine form, I forgot everything else. I had to prostrate at the divine feet. The doctor was observing Baba as he was speaking. He was stunned that where he had seen Sri Rama's beautiful form just a while ago was Sai now. He said with mixed emotions, "Is this a dream or is this a reality? How could he be a Muslim? This is a Yuga avatar, no doubt." Saints like Baba have no caste or creed. They come to this world for the sole purpose of helping devotees cross the ocean of samsara. The doctor yearned for Baba's blessing and began to fast. He kept away from the masjid, resolving not to go there until Baba blessed him. 3 days passed. On the 4th day, an old friend of his arrived at Shirdi. They were meeting after 9 years. The doctor forgot about his resolve and accompanied his friend to the masjid. They prostrated before Baba. Just then Baba asked, "Doctor, upon whose bidding have you come here? Tell me." The doctor was overcome with emotion to know that Baba knew his heart. His resolve had broken. That night, the doctor received Baba's blessing through the experience of Ananda in his sleep. The same state continued for a fortnight, even after he returned home. With this, his devotion and faith in Baba grew. One should have firm faith in one's Guru. Our Guru may not be famous, but we must continue to hold firm to our own Guru. We may see some people pretending to live like saints, though devoid of true faith or the highest experience. Such people gain nothing here or hereafter. In the next chapter, we will see more of Sai's wondrous Leelas, listening to which all sins are removed. A mere glance from Sai can burn mountains of sins. I bow at those divine feet, which are true refuge of the faithful. Wondrous is the power of those feet to take us beyond samsara. End of chapter 12. Om Asahaya Sahayaya Namah.